Peace, peace, peace. What it is, it's your brother Tavon Swainell, aka the Orthodox Moor. And real quick, family, I just want to address a question that the good brother Kalam L from Titans TV asked. Shout out to Kalam, shout out to Titans TV. If y'all don't know about him, please go check him out. Go subscribe. The brother does some very interesting content over in the UK, covering a lot of interesting UK topics and whatnot. Also covering some stuff over in the Americas and around the world, etc. You know what I'm saying? But he asked an interesting question very recently, and it was, what was, let me see if I can pop it up on this video real quick. Yeah, question to the Abrahamic faith. He asked, what was the religion of Abraham? Fantastic question, because a lot of people argue over this. Was he a Jew? Was he a Muslim? Was he an Israelite? Blah, 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 etc. Right? Was he a Zoroastrian? All that stuff, right? Was he a Brahmin? All that, right? Was he even real? All that whole deal, right? So I wanted to give just my perspective on it real quick, because I am a Muslim of Maghrebim, North African Jewish descent. I also have other descents and whatnot, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's an interesting blend, yeah. And so for me, when I look at this, I do what the Quran says to do. I line up the Torah and I line up the Quran to see where they match up, because the Quran stipulates that they confirm that they're going to confirm each other. So when I do so, it's pretty easy to draw a straight line through as to what the religion of Abraham was, if you just stick into the text. You know what I'm saying? If you just strictly just stick into the text. You know what I'm saying? So with that, real quick, I just want to show the family what I'm talking about. So starting off in the Torah, right? We can go to Genesis chapter 14, verse 18. And see where it reads that, and Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him being Abraham, and said, Blessed be Abram, the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thine hands. And he gave him tithes of all. Meaning that Abraham gave Melchizedek the tithes. Right? So we also see in Hebrews chapter 7, right, where it goes over the same concept, yeah, same storyline, right? For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, right, which is king of peace. Ooh, I got that. I got that. I got to remove one of those, right? I got those on top of each other, right? It's supposed to say which is king of peace, right? So when we read that, we see that it cites. I'm using the King James Bible because I like the fact that it cites the Hebrew or Greek or Aramaic, etc., whatever it's using, right? So in Genesis chapter 14, this word here for the whatever Melchizedek is king of is called Salem, right? And that's H, standing for Hebrew, H 8004 in the Strong's Concordance, right? And we see that in the Greek it's G 4532, and we see that it's translated into another word. So it's saying here, which is king of peace, and then it gives you another word for that, right? G 1515, right? So let's just go through these words that are being used for Salem real quick, right? And the reason why I'm going through these words is because in Hebrews chapter 7 verse 2, it makes this interesting correlation. I don't like the way this looks. I'm gonna do this proper real quick. Hold up, I do not like the way that looks. Like, my apologies, fam. All right, 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15 So yeah, to whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace. Right. So bottom line is, we see that Salem is being translated in another way, right? Like after first being interpreted, right, in a certain manner, it's being interpreted another way. Salem means peace, right? Salem means peace. So right off the top, we're seeing that the Old Testament and the New Testament is making the claim that the religion of Abraham is Salem in the sense, right? Because this is the religion of the priest in whom Abraham gave the tithe, right? Showing his allegiance thereof, right? So we see that in the Hebrew, this word, it's pronounced and said a bunch of different names. People say Shalim, Shalem, Shalom, all that type of stuff, right? It's the same as another word in Hebrew, but it means peaceful, right? Shalem is also an early name for Jerusalem, right? Whole another conversation, right? And then, well, let's get into this other Hebrew where it says it's the same as, right? See, it's the same spelling. You see, it's even the same spelling in the Hebrew, right? From another Hebrew word, right? But it means complete, literally or figuratively, especially friendly, full, just, made ready, peaceable, perfect, perfected, quiet, shalem, by mistake for a name, whole. All of these are stemming from another Hebrew word, shalom. To be safe in mind, body, or state, figuratively to be causatively, make, completed by implication, to be friendly by extension, to reciprocate in various applications, make amends, make an end, finish, full, give again, make good, repay again, peaceable, that is perfect, perform, make prosperous, recompense, render requite, make restitution, restore, reward, surely. So at the end of the day, we're seeing a bunch of different concepts, but a basic theme that you're seeing with it is peace. So the Old Testament concept is that they're saying that his religion is of a perfect, perfected, complete, whole peace, a just peace, a full peace. And so in the New Testament, we're seeing this Greek word used, right? A couple of Greek words. They say this. So it throws you right back. It says of Hebrew origin. This first word, G4532. It throws you right back to the Hebrew of Hebrew origin, H8004, which we just read. Salem, i.e. Shalem, a place in Palestine. But then when we jump up to the new translation or the interpretation thereof, the G1515, it stipulates peace. Very simply, just peace. By implication, prosperity. One, peace, quietness, rest, set at one again, right? It's basically, literally or figuratively, one to be at peace, to be set at peace, right? To join peace. So in the Old Testament and the New Testament, in the Torah and the Injil, and some people will argue me calling the New Testament the Injil, but I'm going to call it the Injil. Yeah. We see that they're making the claim that his religion is Shalem, i.e. peace. Right? So when we go to the Quranic, we can confirm this also. In Surah 3, Ayah 19, it stipulates, indeed, the religion in the sight of Allah is Islam. And those who were given the scripture did not differ except after knowledge had come to them, out of jealous animosity between themselves. And whoever disbelieves in the verses of Allah, then indeed Allah is swift in taking account. It says again in Surah 4, Ayat 125, and who is better in religion than one who submits himself to Allah while being a doer of good and follows the religion of Abraham, inclining toward truth. And Allah took Abraham as an intimate friend. So we see right here that in the sight of Allah, the only proper religion is Abraham. And then we also see that that's the religion, or excuse me, the religion of Islam. And we also see that that's the religion of Abraham. And when we break that word down, Islam, we see that, I'll read this off real quick, is a verbal noun originating from the triliteral root SLM, which forms a large class of words mostly relating to concepts of wholeness, submission, safeness, and peace. In a religious context, it means voluntary submission to God, i.e. entrusting one's wholeness to a higher force, which may be interpreted as humility. So this SLM concept, right? We see that Islam goes back to the very same. Matter of fact, let me see if it'll go there. Yeah, boy, SLM. We see that Shalem right there, yeah, right there, and we see that it's saying that everything about the triconsonant root, etc. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Just showing you guys a bunch of different ways that it comes up. But bottom line, we see that the Quran correlates the same thing with the Bible and the Torah and the Injil, in the sense that Salem or Islam. But bottom line, family, like, so there's the Hebrew Canaanite word Shalem, right, or Shalim, right? Salem, Shalom. I like Shalim personally, right? I rock with Shalim. In the Old Testament, the religion of Abraham is Shalim. In the New Testament, it's giving you the Greek equivalent to that, and it's giving you the explanation of the fact that it means peace. Right? In the Quran, it says it in Arabic that the religion of Abraham is Islam, and then you also get the breakdown that the Arabic Islam has the same concepts and meaning, right, of wholeness, right, peace, right, same concepts as in the Torah and in the Gospel, in the Injil. And to further that up, somebody was talking about Abraham having a rainbow religion, right? And in one sense, they were 100% correct. Like, so hold on, where was I just at? You know, let me show you this real quick. Ooh, wrong one. Stop, come here. That's the one. So you see this flag, family? You see how it's a rainbow flag, right? Somebody said that Abraham should have a rainbow religion, right? Because the sign of the covenant of Noah was a rainbow, and in fact, that is 100% correct. So anybody who's familiar with Judaism, and when I was familiar with the concept of the 7 laws of Noah, I'll read this off real quick, right? It says the Noahide laws are 7 laws considered by rabbinic tradition as the minimal moral duties required by the Bible on all men. All right, one more time. The Noahide laws are 7 laws considered by rabbinic tradition as the minimal moral duties required by the Bible on all men. While Jews are obligated to observe the whole Torah, 613 commandments, every non-Jew is considered a son of the covenant of Noah. And he who accepts these obligations is considered a righteous person who is guaranteed a place in the world to come. Now, before I get into the laws real quick, let's be clear about what it's stating, right? So it's saying that Abraham is not a Jew, in a sense, right? So understand that the 613 laws are for the Jews, right? That come down in the Torah, handed down to Moses, right? That has nothing to do with Abraham, right? Abraham is dealing with a universal covenant and a universal law, right? So these 7 laws of Noah are universal, right? And then I'll break that down in a second, why it's universal. But basically it comes down to the fact that it's God says he's making this covenant with Noah and every living thing on the earth, which is why it's a universal law. And Noah precedes Abraham. Abraham precedes Moses, i.e. Moses is not, or i.e. Abraham is not a Jew, etc. Right? Not having to follow the 613 commandments, right? So what laws did he have to follow, right? Again, the 7 Noahide laws, as traditionally enumerated, are: do not deny God, right? Do not blaspheme God. Do not murder. Oh, where is it at? I didn't copy. Hold on. Let me get you real quick. Bam. Bam. Yeah, let me read it off of the full real quick. This will read a little bit different than the site I just took it from, because I got it from a rabbinic site, or from the Jewish I believe Encyclopedia Virtual Library, something like that. But there's a small different translation of how it talks about the sexual immorality, and this is actually more of the correct translation, which is why I use it. But I'll read it like it's supposed to be read, because these are negatives. He said, right? Do not worship idols. Do not curse God. Do not establish. Oh wait, no, they got this all wrong, because this is supposed to be last. There we go. That's the right one. That's supposed to be for. Do not worship idols. Do not curse God. Do not eat flesh torn from a living animal, i.e. do not eat blood. Right? And it says, do not commit murder. Do not commit adultery or sexual immorality. Do not steal. And the last one is a positive one, to establish courts of justice. I'll read it this way so you can see both ways as to why, and you'll see why I changed it on one of them. Just bam. Do not deny God. Do not blaspheme God. Do not murder. Do not engage in incestuous, adulterous, or homosexual relationships. And that's the one I switched up, because it doesn't technically, in the Hebrew in the Old Testament, it doesn't actually have a law against homosexuality. It actually has a law against unprotected bisexual sex. It basically says don't go have sex with a woman after having sex with a man, right? So that's a commandment given to a man, right? So basically it's a cleanliness commandment about not having penetrate. It basically says don't penetrate a man and then directly go penetrate a woman, right? I'm sorry to be graphic for the family, but for anybody for all the women out there, and then all the men who got ladies, got daughters, and all type of stuff, you understand that when women go to the bathroom, they have to wipe a certain direction so they do not contaminate themselves, right? So that's the actual prescription in the Hebrew in the Old Testament, is to not penetrate a man and then go penetrate a woman. It does not sanction homosexuality, but it does not directly outlaw it. I just want to be clear on that, right? But then again, going into the rest of it, do not steal, do not eat of a live animal. And here's the 7th one: establish courts, legal systems to ensure laws and obedience. And another way of saying it, the proper way of saying it, is establish courts of justice where a rich man and a poor man are treated equally. That's the proper way of understanding it, right? And for my Kemetic cats, I'm going to read it, blow it up a little bit bigger for you to see, right? You'll dig this bit, right? Except for the 7th law, all are negative commands, right? You'll get that. All are negative commands. And the last itself is usually interpreted as commanding the enforcement of the others, right? So these are basically, I see where it got messed up. That was me. So basically, these are, in a sense, the concept of like a negative confession, like in Ma'at, right? And the interesting thing about it, family, is that now I'll throw this one out there for free. So you see that in Ma'at there's 42 negative confessions. We also see that there's 7 laws of Noah. In the Hebrew tradition, there's something called being the Shabbat, right? Not Shema, but Shabbat, which is an oath that one takes, right? And it's an oath of 7s, and it's an oath of 7 times 7. So you say something 49 times. And so the interesting thing about that is when you take the 7 laws of Noah, right? 7 laws of Noah. Then you take the 42 negative confessions, right? And these are, again, supposedly negative with the exception of 1. You get 49. I'll let my Kemetic and my Hebrew and my other people play with that, you know what I'm saying, and see what they like to do with that. I'm an Abrahamic omnitheist, right? For me, all the Abrahamic traditions go together, including the Kemetic tradition, right? From Ra to Allah, it's all the same God to me, right? I'll let y'all fight over what y'all think is different, but it's all the same thing, yeah. But at the end of the day, family, at the end of the day, oh, let me get into I forgot the end of this part, right? These are where you can see the laws of the religion, and I'm just going to leave some. I'm just going to show you, scroll through the verses real quick so you can see what it is. But yeah, at the end of the day, the religion is peace, and here is Salem or Salim, Islam, whatever. And here's some of the basic tenets. Again, you can see them reflected. The 7 laws reflected here in a lot of senses, right? In Genesis chapter 9, where we get a lot of the stuff from. And there's other spots besides this than what I'm showing, but you'll get the drift, right? You'll see the continuity, right? Bottom line is, every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require, at the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of every man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God man he made. And God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, behold, I establish my covenant with you, and I with your seeds after you. And this is important, right? Because this is the claim, and this is why I stumbled on it, right? But this is the claim to where God himself is saying something, right? This is also said in the Quran where God will hold himself to something. So it's real significant when you say, check this out, I'm making a promise. For instance, in the Quran, it breaks down, for instance, where God's talking to all the prophets, right? And he's explaining to them that he's going to send down one book to all of them, and the rest of them are going to confirm this one scripture. And then he says, do you all agree? And they say, yeah. And he says, cool, I'm making the promise with you. Yeah? And so it's very significant when God says he's going to make a promise and hold himself to it. So it says, and behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark, to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood. Neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. So what's the purpose of that? Right? So the rainbow is one ray of light split into 7 different colors. Right. So bottom line is it's a signet of the concept of the 7 laws. It's the 7 colors of one perfect ray of light. 7 colors of the rainbow. Again, 1 for each law. So we see this concept, some of the laws given. Right, a lot of it having to do with flesh and what you can eat, what you can't eat, all that type of stuff. Right. Jump to Acts 15, New Testament. Right, we see the same concept. Right. So in Acts 15, you got James, the brother of Jesus, and you got Paul. Right, and they're dealing with a group of Gentiles, people who are not Jews. Right, not having to follow the 613 laws. Right, the commandments. Right, that Jews follow. And so people are talking about, do they got to be circumcised? Do they got this, that, and the third? And at the end of the day, James and Paul agree that they basically just have to follow the Noahide covenant, the laws of Noah, right? And so they break down the same thing in Acts, roughly, that they break down in Genesis, right? That you abstain from meats offered to idols, and from blood, and from things strangled, and from fornication, from which if ye keep yourselves, ye shall do well, fear ye well. Same concept, right? And in Surah 5, Ayah 3, you see a very similar concept. And again, this is a very important verse, because people that says here, right? My favor upon you, and have approved for you Islam. Or wait, excuse me. This day I have perfected for you perfected your religion, and completed my favor upon you, and approved for you Islam as a religion, right? So definitely confirming Islam as a religion, right? Or Shalem, or peace, etc., right? And so we're going to see a tripling down of the concept, right? Prohibited to you are dead animals, blood, the flesh of swine, and that which has been dedicated to other than Allah. And those animals killed by strangling, or by violent blow, or by headlong fall, or by the goring of horns, and those from which a wild animal has eaten, except what you are able to slaughter before its death, and those which are sacrificed on stone altars. And prohibited is that you seek decision through divining arrows, etc., right? That is grave disobedience. This day, those who disbelieve have despaired of defeating your religion, right? And it goes on into what I was talking about the religion being Islam, right? But again, we see the same concepts of not being able to eat blood, etc., right? And right here in Acts, right, this is a beautiful bit right here, because this whole chapter, right, is a concept of what's applicable to the Gentile, right? And it's these universal concepts, right? Universal laws, right? That we see is universal because God himself made, and I will establish my covenant, right? And I, behold, I establish my covenant, right? God made the promise, yeah? So long story short, Brother Kalam, and to everybody on Speaker's Corner, etc., you know what I'm saying? The religion of Abraham is peace. And with that, fam, I hope you all enjoy your day, and I say peace and love.